Hello friends, my name is Bruce Rhodes and I have the privilege of serving as the superintendent of the Southern Michigan Conference these past 12 years. For the last 3 weeks, I've been sharing in detail about an important matter that our conference will be voting on in June when the 3 Michigan conferences meet at the Arbor Church. If you haven't watched the previous 3 parts to this presentation, I encourage you to take some time to get caught up before you watch part 4. This will help you understand the context for today's remarks. Last week I raised and attempted to answer 2 key questions. What is an annual conference and what is an annual conference for? And during that presentation I shared the following statement from our Book of Discipline which answers these questions. The annual conference is the organization at the regional level that joins societies into a network. And the annual conference ensures that pastors and congregations are counseled and encouraged, identify those who are being called into the ordained ministry, and promotes and oversees church planting and evangelism. Today's video, I want to share in detail the 4 important pieces of the joint vision of the Michigan superintendents to help you understand why we believe that a newly formed conference in Michigan is the right decision for our future. First, it's imperative that we strengthen and invest in pastoral formation and leadership development. Second, we believe it is imperative that we raise up and release new leaders into the mission. Third, we believe that by forming a new conference that will be better able to multiply new congregations throughout our state. And finally, coming together as a single conference would combine our resources for greater kingdom impact. So let's start at the beginning. First, it's imperative that we strengthen and invest in pastoral formation and leadership development. One of the great challenges to pastoral ministry in our day is the environment of isolation that many pastors live within. And within this environment, the work can become wearying and discouraging for the leaders God has called into his mission. In addition, we used to approach the ordination of our pastors as kind of a checklist of items they needed to master before we ordained them. The reality is that subsequent to their ordination, pastors need the additional and ongoing investments of practical learning to lead effectively in the 21st century. In fact, I would note that the church in the West is largely being led by 20th century trained pastors trying to figure out how to do ministry in a complex and rapidly changing world. So we believe that a new unified conference in Michigan will be better resourced to bless and encourage and continue to equip leaders for fruitful service in our ever-changing world. We want to regionally connect pastors in collaborative learning environments whereby they're spiritually encouraged, supported, and professionally accountable. The strengthening of our pastors, which is our greatest human resource, is vital to the strengthening of our churches. We must raise up also and release new leaders into the mission. One of the very real challenges in smaller conferences comes in both attracting and placing pastors in the right ministry context, which is suitable to their calling and gifting. One of the pressing challenges that some conferences frequently encounter is in regarding their ability to recruit qualified pastoral candidates. Smaller churches that are unable to pay full-time pastors often results in qualified pastors finding other placement opportunities in other conferences. However, in a larger statewide conference, we'll have more options in our appointments process. We've come to recognize that if a conference superintendent has only 30 to 40 congregations, that her or his options are limited in terms of placing the right leader in the right place at the right time, in contrast to having over 100 options for that leader's placement. Finally, as a stronger conference invests in building healthier, stronger congregations, those congregations will be able to raise up new leaders to fuel the growth of the larger network. So next week, we will take a few minutes to share the other 2 key ideas regarding the missional rationale to forming a new statewide conference, which includes a statewide multiplication plan and a well-formed superintendent leadership team. Between now and then, be blessed, my friends, and thanks for listening today.